Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, welcome back. And today our focus is on studying or learning about some structured topics in grammar for academic discourse. First, I'm going to explain about gerund and infinitive. It's not really explaining, it's just reviewing uh, the previous topics of the structure beforehand because I believe that you have already got these topics last semester. We also have parallelism structure on how to avoid redundancy on the parallelism. We also have subject and verb inversion or inverted subject and verb and active and passive voice. So check it out.
Another part of the structure in a TOEFL test is about gerund and infinitive. Yeah, so gerund is the ing form, but it's not a verb. It's function as a noun. And as we know that we have a gerund as a subject, as a verb, as an object, or after verb, or after certain verbs, or after preposition, yang itu bentuknya ing tapi bukan verb. Like I am sitting on the chair is not gerund, but then sitting on the chair is a thing that I do every day in the classroom. That's a gerund noun. Ya, jadi gerund itu masih ingat kan ya? Itu fungsinya sebagai noun, bukan sebagai verb. Kemudian the opposite is not the ing form, but the to plus base or verb base atau verb yang asli in the formnya itu disebut dengan infinitive. Ya, for example, I want to go to the movie. To go is the to infinitive after the verb want. You need to remember that there are two kinds of to. Two kinds of to. That's the correct pronunciation. I repeat once again. There are two kinds of to. In English, the first one is to infinitive, yaitu to yang berfungsi untuk memisahkan dua kata kerja, wants to go, wants to see. Kemudian another to is to preposition, yang itu artinya ke. I go to school. To-nya di situ bukan berfungsi untuk memisahkan dua kata kerja, tetapi untuk berfungsi sebagai preposisi, yaitu artinya ke. Itu bukan to infinitive, tapi itu preposisi. Nah, yang dibahas di sini adalah to infinitive. That's another one. Itu. Kemudian one of the most challenging one for the students is, or for me also, either for me ya, for people in general, adalah you need to it's not always memorized, but at least Anda hafal mana verb yang harus diikuti oleh gerund, mana verb yang harus diikuti oleh infinitive, ya. Because there are a lot. Karena banyak sekali. Yang misalkan yang diikuti oleh gerund adalah admit, avoid, consider, deny, dislike, escape, imagine, miss, appreciate, delay, discuss, enjoy, finish, skip, postpone, quite, recall. I know because I'm reading. Okay, but you need to practice more. Like the more you find the verb in a question, you will memorize more. And then there are some verbs followed by yang harus diikuti oleh to infinitive adalah agree, ask, beg, bother, choose, claim, decide, expect, fail, who, manage, need, over, plan, pretend, promise, refuse, venture, want, wish, dan lain sebagainya. And another challenge is that there are some verbs yang can be both. Bisa diikuti infinitive, bisa diikuti gerund. So you need to work hard. You force your brains hard. No. Jadi jangan di-force ya. Jangan di-force otaknya, jangan terlalu di-force. But you need to get used to practice in a question. That's the best strategy. It's not to memorize, but to practice more on a question. Karena, itu tadi, there are a lot of verbs yang beda rule untuk gerund infinitive atau can be both gerund infinitive. That's about gerund and infinitives. The next part is about parallel structure. It's a parallelism. I do remember that I explained this last semester in my class on grammar for media discourse. Masih ada link YouTube-nya, nanti silakan dicek ya. So please check on the YouTube on the link of the parallelism structure. So prinsipnya paralel itu means same ya. Jadi parallel structure itu strukturnya yang digunakan di dalam kalimat itu harus sama. Ini mirip-mirip dengan subject verb agreement, tetapi kalau parallelism itu it's more in general. Tidak hanya agreementnya saja, tetapi it can be for conjunction atau dan lain sebagainya. For example, and, but, or itu conjunctionnya. Di sini yang dimaksudkan dengan same structure adalah, for example, kalau present semua, kalau past semua, kalau progressive semua, seperti itu karena same structure. I'll give you an example. I am singing and dancing at the same time right now. I am singing is a present progressive and is one of the coordinate conjunction. Maka setelahnya itu harus sama strukturnya. Kalau depan pakai present progressive, maka belakang harus sama pakai present progressive. I am singing and I am singing, kemudian I am dancing. Awalnya kan itu kan, kemudian diparalelkan biar tidak redundant atau pemborosan kata menjadi I am singing and dancing. Dancing itu reverse-nya ke I am juga. So that's the same. Ada di mata kuliah writing juga ini. And that's simple actually. Probably the more challenging part is on the like both and either or neither nor, not only but also ya harus dihafalkan juga. Yang itu rule-nya berbeda dengan yang single coordinate conjunction itu. Kalau untuk either or and neither nor, maka the focus is on the last part or the last subject, ya. For example, either Josh or Mary goes to school. Maka goes, this is the singular one yang refers to Mary because Mary is the last subject. Either Josh or Mary. So either or is actually one option. Ya, yang dipilih hanya satu, tidak semuanya. Kalau satu itu berarti singular. Kalau singular di dalam present, maka verbnya adalah goes, not go. But it's different from both. And kalau both John and Mary, namanya aja both, is more than one. Apalagi coordinate conjunctionnya adalah and. And itu berarti dan, lebih dari satu. Maka kalau lebih dari satu, itu plural. Maka verbnya juga harus plural. Both John and Mary go to school, misalkan. The next part is parallel structure with comparison. Itu yang comparative degree itu ya, yang pakai than or er. Like contoh kalimat di sini, to be rich is better than to be poor. Better than itu menjadi itu adalah salah satu comparison. Jadi yang harus diingat adalah more than, yang comparison pokoknya yang komparatif, bukan yang superlatif ya, tapi yang komparatif yang membedakan dua atau lebih benda atau orang, maka harus paralel atau harus sama strukturnya. Kalau simple present is simple present, kalau past kayak gitu ya. That's it. So the function of the parallelism is to avoid redundancy. Jadi fungsi dari parallelism itu biar kalimatnya itu langsing, biar kalimatnya itu efisien, jadi tidak ada, atau untuk menghindari redundancy. Redundancy is pemborosan kata, jadi biar tidak ada kata yang diulang-diulang. I'll give you an example that I commonly find other students work about daily activities, for example. Jadi yang sering biasanya kayak gini. So I go to school in the morning, and then I arrive at school, and then I meet a friend, and then I talk to them. Yeah. So there are a lot of, and then ada sekitar 3 atau 4, and that is not beautiful to read or even to write. So you need to make it parallelism. You need to make it parallel. You need to make it simpler to avoid redundancy. Jadi untuk mengurangi unnecessary word atau kata yang tidak perlu, you need to identify, and then after that you eliminate, throw the unnecessary word. Yeah. So for example, the room was red in color. Ruangannya merah warnanya. So you don't need to write color because red itu artinya sudah warna merah. So just please write the correct one is the room was red, and that's all, without color. Ya, karena red itu artinya sudah merah. Jadi kalau ditulis the room was red in color, the meaning is ruangannya warna merah warna. Oh, that's it. It doesn't make sense. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. So I'll give another example. I have breakfast at 7 o'clock in the morning. Kira-kira redundansinya yang mana? Unnecessary wordnya yang mana? Yang in the morning. Yeah, because everybody knows that breakfast should be in the morning, not in the afternoon. If it is in the afternoon, that the term is lunch. Ya, jadi bisa pakai I have breakfast at 7 o'clock, that's all. Tanpa harus ditulis I have breakfast 7 o'clock in the morning, karena breakfast itu artinya sudah sarapan pagi. Sarapan, ya. That's another example. Another example lagi, ini ada he looked at me threateningly, atau he looked at me in the threatening manner. Tidak usah pakai manner, tapi pakai le aja. Ya. Tatapannya itu mengancam, misalkan menyeramkan, misalkan frightening, threateningly. Jadi le di sini adalah adverb of manner, sudah mencerminkan makna. So you don't need to put a manner on a word. That's a redundancy, pemborosan kata. So it's on another slide. It's the sentence with multiple clauses. So when you remember that in a writing class you are familiar with the terms simple sentence and multiple sentence, you have also complex sentence and compound sentence. Yeah. So multiple clauses means that the subject is the same, but then the subject does more than one verb. Namanya juga multiple. Multiple itu kan berarti is more than one. Yang lebih dari satu apanya? Verbnya yang dilakukan oleh subjek yang sama. Memakai coordinate conjunction. Contoh. She laughed, dia tertawa, but wanted to cry. Jadi subjeknya ada satu, she, but then the verb is different. There are two verbs, laugh and cry. Laugh and wanted to cry. Kemudian bisa pakai misalkan Tom is singing and Paul is dancing. So the subject is different. There are two subjects, Tom and Paul, and those people are different. And the different people act different, ya. Act differently. Yang satunya singing, satunya dancing. Itulah yang disebut dengan multiple clauses. Multiple means more than one clauses, and di-connectedkan pakai coordinative conjunction. That's a and, bisa but, bisa or, so, yet, or, etc. The next one is inverted subject and verb. Jadi posisi subjek sama verb yang dibalik, ya. That's usually the first part of speech of the first part of the sentence should be subject, kemudian followed by the verb. Tapi ini dibalik posisinya. The verb puts at first, and then after that the subject. Nah, the subject and the verb sometimes invert in English. Biasanya bisa juga dibalik posisinya, especially in expressing place such as here, there, and nowhere. Though the meaning is the same, but the sense is different. Tapi sense-nya itu berbeda nanti maknanya ya. Or usually you find it in a poetry or dalam karya sastra biasanya ditemukan seperti itu, atau yang non-literature is also fine. Atau juga after prepositional phrase expressing place itu bisa juga dibalik ya. So this is the example. Biasanya kalimatnya adalah I lend you the book. Aku meminjamimu buku. Tapi di sini dibalik menjadi here is the book that you lend me. Iki loh buku yang kamu pinjamkan ke aku. Is the meaning the same? Is the meaning same? Yeah, sama. But is the context same? No. The context is different. Pay attention on the stressing of the sentence, ya. If I say subjeknya berada di depan, kemudian verb, I lend you a book, maka the stressing or the emphasizing is on the I. Saya meminjamimu buku. But then if the sentence is inverted, here is the book that you lend me, the stressing or the emphasis of the meaning is on the book, not on the subject, not on you or me. Jadi yang pengen ditekankan adalah ini loh bukunya yang kamu pinjamkan ke aku. That's the inverted subject. For another example, many students are in the class. Dengan there are many students in the class. Now have I seen such a beautiful flower? Dengan I have never seen such a beautiful flower. The meaning is that saya tidak pernah menemukan bunga seindah ini dimanapun itu. Saya yang ditekankan adalah sayanya. Tapi kalau nowhere have I seen such a beautiful flower, penekanannya adalah tidak dimanapun, tidak pernah ditemukan dimanapun bunga secantik ini itu, gitu. So that's the inverted subject. The meaning will be more beautiful for me, yeah. For me personally, I think that the meaning will be more beautiful if the subject is inverted. But again, the context is the same. Only the sense is different. And this is going to be the last topic yang merupakan general overview dari semester yang kemarin ya. It's active and passive voice. Active and passive sentence ini it's a very common for you, so I believe that you know the rule in details, yeah. Like he writes many letters are written by him. That's the example. So actually on the TOEFL practice or structure in the course of grammar for academic discourse this semester, our focus is not only to review the theory, because the theory was done last semester. You had Isaac class, kemudian grammar in daily conversation, grammar in daily practice, and then grammar for media discourse. So we do not go deeply into the theory, but I will give you more opportunity to practice in a real exercise, that is to work on the structure on TOEFL. Jadi fokusnya adalah pelatihan soal analisis. Is not only to find the error recognition ya, error recognition, tidak hanya mencari salahnya di mana. Kalau TOEFL kan hanya sekedar salahnya ini. But then you need to make it correct. Harus juga dibetulkan. Kalau salah betulnya yang mana? That's what we call is analyzing the error. Jadi you do not only find the error, but you make it correct. Seperti itu. And after your practice, we can discuss deeply about the theory. Setelah menjawab soal, baru kita bahas dan kita kaitkan dengan teorinya. If you think like you are done with the theory, you understand very well that we're going to skip the theory, but then if you are still confused about the theory, then let me explain. So that's about the structure on TOEFL test. Gambarannya seperti itu yang semester ini ya.
And that's about the theory, and I am open for the question and answer as well. I encourage the students to discuss more about the theory, and also I give an opportunity to practice on the quiz or on the test of the structures. So this is the end of the explanation, and thank you for listening.